Hello and welcome to an exclusive hour-long programme with me, Alex Belfield, talking to an old friend of the programme, Daniel O'Donnell. How are you?
Nice to see you, Alex, and I'm very well.
It's really nice to see you. I tell you why, because you keep going, you keep selling out. How do you stay so popular?
Well, I just enjoy what I do, and the audience that follow what I do are tremendously loyal. They couldn't be better.
And do you still enjoy it as much?
Absolutely.
Let's go back and talk about when you started. When was the moment that you remember thinking, I've made it?
Well, I suppose 1986, I remember the band that I travel with now, we have been together, 5 of us, it'll be 23 years in March coming. And we got together on the 6th of March, and then we did some dates over here in the UK, and then we went home to Ireland. And prior to that, you know, the year before, I had another band, but we weren't doing that well. But for some reason, we had released the album, The Two Sides of Daniel O'Donnell, and it got a lot of airplay. A song called My Donegal Shore, which was the first that I recorded in '83, had just taken off on the radios at home. And it was played all the time. And our first show back was in a place called the Milford Inn in Donegal. It was a dance. And I remember the dressing room was below the stage. So we were down there. And the band went up. And I knew the place was very full. The people, somebody had said, it's just, you can't move out there. And I could hear the people chanting my name. And I was nearly afraid to go up. It was an unbelievable, moment, because I thought I couldn't understand how it could happen so quickly. From, I stopped in the January because, we'd felt to take a break and start a new band and all that. But in that period, the radio had made such a difference that everybody was coming out. So I think that was the first time I thought, this is strange, it's different, But then, one thing led to another. I Need You started getting played on the radios over here. BBC 2 or Radio 2 played it a lot, and all the regionals. In '92, I Want to Dance With You got on Top of the Pops, and different things over the years, yeah.
How would you describe your music?
Well, I suppose it's kind of easy listening music. I mean, certainly there's a lot of country music there. But, there's a mixture of Irish, inspirational, rock and roll. How can I say inspiration and rock and roll together? But I can. But it's all married together. There's a thread going through it all, even though some of it is quite different to the others.
All right, you've got a brand new album out. We're going to take tracks from this album throughout the programme, and then we're going to come back and find out all about you and your life and what you enjoy doing and why the ladies love you so much, because you are a sex symbol. They just adore you, don't they?
She was.
Country Boy's the new album then. What's the best
right.
track on it?
Well, they're all fantastic. I mean, there's not one better than the other, because they're classic country songs that were big hits. All but one of them, which is the Mother's Birthday song, is an original written by John Farry from County Fermanagh at home that I love too. So I couldn't say play this one because it's better than the other. So you pick whatever you want.
Oh, go on then. There must be a favourite then that you love performing more than the others.
Well, I love Detroit City. I have always loved Detroit City. So if you want me to pick one, you can play that one.
We'll say that's the best one on the album then. We're back on your favourite local radio station with Daniel O'Donnell. Are you happy doing this? Because you're a very private man and we don't see you in all the dodgy magazines. You go on stage and you impress and you bring out these albums and everybody loves you for it. Is it all about the performing? I spoke to Andrea Bocelli a while back and he said if he didn't have to talk to people and do interviews and he could just perform, that would be enough. He's not interested in being showbiz.
Well, I'm certainly not a very showbiz type person either, although I don't mind interviews. I don't mind talking on the radio. I'm not so delighted with press interviews, papers, because I find that sometimes, when you speak to somebody like I'm speaking to you now or on the television, I say it and it's heard the way I say it. But when you speak to the press or written press, it can be different. It can come out differently. But generally they're okay too. I'm not complaining about them. But no, I don't mind, because I think that, the people that enjoy what a singer does and from my point of view, you only get to know so much about them on the stage. So this gives you an opportunity to maybe find out a wee bit more. And it's not an intrusion. I think the people that interview me are very respectful, and they just ask what people would like to hear.
Just on the fans generally, I think there's only you and Cliff, who I'm aware of, who can get ladies camping outside of theatres days, if not weeks, in advance of tickets going on sale.
Respectable ladies at that.
Are they really?
Yes.
So help me with this then. You're so popular, they're prepared to sit in the cold, in the wet, in a tent with no bed, no toilet, no wash facilities, no new clothes, stinking after days because they just need to get your ticket on the front row. Have you put your finger on yet why they're so dedicated? Because some of the biggest stars in the world don't get that.
I'm forever humbled at the extent and the efforts they go to get tickets, and the better tickets. It's fantastic, really. It's such a wonderful thing for them to do. I just wish they didn't have to do it, or that they didn't need to do it. But obviously, being in the front adds more to the show for them than being further back. And it's nice for me too, because a lot of the time I would know the people on the front, and you look down, you see them, and they're, that they're there. Well, everybody's with you. Everybody in the hall is there because they want to be there, but only maybe an odd husband is there under duress, because if he'd seen football all year, and she said, well, if you want to see more football, you have to take me. So I feel sorry for the odd husband. Not all the husbands, but just an odd one. But it's just great, the lengths the people go to.
When did that happen? How long had you been doing this before you had that kind of intense respect and fascination? I
think it started in the late 80s, maybe, where people would go to great efforts to get tickets. Prior to that, now in Ireland, which is unusual too, when we would go, when we were doing the dances, which is and was for us a great, there's a great culture in Ireland of dancing. We would go maybe and arrive at the dance wouldn't start till 11 or 12 at night, and we would maybe arrive at 6 in the evening, and there would be people queuing to get into the dance. Now this was very unusual, maybe 100 people queuing, and I couldn't fathom that one, how so many people because they were going to, well, I suppose there was times when they wouldn't get in if they went there early, but it was, that in itself was quite a shock to me, to see people do this. So I suppose it even happened at home, but not that they would camp out because they couldn't buy tickets. You only got it on the door at that time.
So what is it then? Is it your choice of song? Is it you? Is it your looks? What do you think is the reason that you're so captivating to them?
I think it's my body. I'm joking.
No, let's leave it there.
Not my six-pack, no, because I've never bought a six-pack.
Let's take another piece of music, and then we'll come back and talk about your six-pack next. We're back with Daniel O'Donnell on your favourite local radio station, talking to the king of pop. Let's give some figures, actually. Your publicists have sent these, so they might be made up, but what do you make of this? Daniel O'Donnell has had 8 top 20 albums in the last 5 years. Is that true?
Yes.
Daniel O'Donnell is the only artist to have charted an album every year from 88 to 2007.
Yes, they've put terrible pressure on me this year.
Yeah,
because I have to make 20.
It'll all be over if not.
Oh my God, it's shocking.
You've sold more than 2.5 million albums this millennium. You're one of the UK's top 50 best-selling artists of the 21st century. You spent more than 200 weeks in the UK album charts, reached number 1 with at least 5 music videos. You're kind of the thing that annoys record bosses, because you're not trying to be at the top, yet you are.
I know, I think people kind of can't understand it. We were in America recently, and we were doing a festival in Minot, North Dakota, and it was the Hoos Fest, it's called, and Kenny Rogers was there, and Randy Travis and Charlie Pride and the Oak Ridge Boys and the Beach Boys. And the Beach Boys just did one show because that's all they were contracted to do, but all the others had 2 shows: Kenny Rogers, Charlie Pride and Randy Travis. And we sold out our 2 shows, and they added a third, which is, I just, it's amazing, and I think, you know, that the others were quite amused because they wouldn't know me. That Charlie would know me well, but the others wouldn't really know that. I don't think they can figure out. I suppose nobody can figure out. I mean, I just do what I enjoy. I don't set out to be. I don't set out to do anything in particular, only just to enjoy it.
And you're just a small boy from Ireland. You come over here and have all the success that we've just talked about. How does it feel now for you walking in a building and everybody knows who you are and you have no idea who they are?
I'm amazed, like, when I see Charlie Pride, that he knows who I am, because I love Charlie and Loretta Lynn, you know, that when I meet them, they can say hello. Oh, hello, Danny. They always call me Danny. Or she says, where's my honey? But honey is good for me. So that amazes me. When I see people that I recognise, I don't see me like that, if you know what I mean.
Mm.
But I know that people recognise me. Not everybody does, but a lot of people do. But it's a fantastic, I suppose it's a fantastic thing to do something you love and be, you know, applauded so much for it.
And then your family and keeping your feet on the ground, you always seem to have done that. Is that down to your mother? Is that down to your siblings? How does that work?
I think the way I was brought up has a big part to play, and where I was brought up has a big, you know, input in it. I think that I like normality. I like I just like life as it is, you know. I feel privileged to be doing what I'm doing. I feel no great difference between me and the audience, other than that for the 2 or 2.5 hours that I'm singing, that's the difference between us. Once I step off, you know, I would like to think they feel on a level with me.
How does Mrs. O'Donnell deal with you being Daniel O'Donnell?
Well, I suppose she never knew me other than the way I am now. When we met, I was very much what I'm doing. We didn't meet till 1999, so that's only 9 years ago. So this was my life, so to speak. This is how my life was and is. And so away from when I'm not touring, it's terribly normal, you know. There's nothing extraordinary about it. When we have a lovely home in Donegal, we have a lovely house in Tenerife, so we have a lovely life, you know. We're not we have a fantastic life altogether, and we can go wherever we want. So but it's very normal. It's very normal. We try to get we try to go and get the cheap deals on the flights and all the rest.
Don't tell me you're travelling cattle class.
You know what? Unless it's a long haul flight, I always do. Yes, unless somebody else pays for it.
I never thought that of you. And that thing that I've noticed when I've been out with famous people, where people are only interested in the famous person and the partner's kind of left aside and ignored. Do you have to be aware of that? Because that can become very uncomfortable. I see it all the time, because nobody's interested in talking to her because they're interested in you.
Not really, because, I mean, Magella, if we meet somebody out, she would always, if they're getting pictures, she'd always stand back. But very often people include her, you know. I think that's down to the type of people that follow what I do. They would be aware of Magella and you know, would make her part of things. But if she's not, it's not a big deal, you know. It's just she understands. And sometimes, you know, people when they see, if they're not expecting me to be somewhere, they get excited. So if they do exclude her, it's almost not intentional, you know. But I mean, we're very lucky, Magella and myself, we're very lucky to have met when we did. I think the fact that we were older, I was 40 when we got married, I think it makes you more, you're kind of stronger in yourself, and we're stronger together. We're not in our 20s, so the same threats to us are not there as maybe with a young couple.
All right, we're going to take another piece of music. We'll take Ring of Fire, which has been the calling card of this album, hasn't it? You've done the video, and it's such a great song as well. Why this song? Did you love it for years? Is it something that you wanted to do? I've
always loved it. I love, I suppose, like a lot of people, when it starts, you know, no, even before anything's sung, when you start Ring of Fire, everybody's kind of up. They know it's Johnny Cash's song, and it's such a wonderful thing. And I saw Johnny Cash when we did the Peterborough Festival. It was 1987. They had a festival there. Johnny Cash headlined, so I had the privilege of seeing him on that show, although I didn't meet him. But then when we went to Branson, Missouri, first back in the middle 90s, Sean, my manager, and I went out just to see Branson, and we went to see Johnny Cash. June Carter was there, of course, his wife at the time, and the Carter family, and it was a sensational show. So sometimes when I'm singing and when I hear the song, even my own version, I go back to that night in Branson, and I remember meeting him after and shaking his hand, and he was such a commanding figure, yeah.
We're back on your favourite local radio station, Ring of Fire, by our special guest today, Daniel O'Donnell. When you take on somebody else's song, is there ever nerves? Am I going to do it as well as Johnny Cash, or possibly even better? Because what you don't want people to say is, it's not as good as Johnny Cash's version.
Yeah, well, I always kind of think that you're never going to do it as good as the person, even if it's better. Or if some might think it's better, if you thought it was better, because that's their hit. No matter what way I sing it, the way that they sung it was what made it a hit. So it's never going to be as good as the original. And I think once you establish that, I'm only trying to sing it, pay tribute to the song and to the singer.
And are there any songs that you'd love to do that you just can't, whether it be because it's out of your vocal range or it's just impossible to sing?
Well, not really. I mean, I would just be very aware that there's songs that I wouldn't have the capabilities to sing. And, there's many of them. And I would always try to stay within my limit. And I hope I have. Down through the years, there's only one song I recorded that I shouldn't have recorded, and that was Highway 40 Blues. It was on the first album we did with Ritz, and Mick Clerkin, who is the director of Rosette, it is now, but was Ritz at the time, he suggested the songs and said I should record Highway 40 Blues, and I didn't know that I could say, I don't think I can sing that. So I went in and I sang it, and it was like the express train to Glasgow. It was so fast, and I just thought, at the end of it, I hated the song because it just took so much out of me. Nothing wrong with the song. Now, if I had known then what I realised shortly after, and that I don't have to sing anything that I don't feel comfortable with. But when you're starting out, it was a big thing to get with Ritz and all that. I mean, all the way through since, although many of the people in the record company suggest songs to me, I can always say, no, I'm not comfortable with that, and there's no issue of it.
As for your voice itself, how protective of it are you? I've spoken to people who say, I can't talk for 3 days before a show and I have to gargle with glycerine 6 times a day. Is it very natural for you, or do you have to really protect your instrument?
No, I think I do. I am very aware of my voice, and I think all singers are pain in the tails, really, or pains in the tail, because, we're always coughing and, I wonder what that is. You always... Most singers, woke up this morning, I was a bit hoarse and I was coughing, and 99 times out of 100, you're fine, but there's always that wee thing, because that's what you're working with and that's what you're using, that you're always afraid, there's something going to happen. So I would be kind of, the day of the show, I would try not to do things. I mean, this is over time too. I got to the stage where I said, I don't mind doing it. We've already said the interviews, but on the day of a show, I feel I shouldn't do interviews and I shouldn't meet a lot of people before the show. I meet everybody after, just so that I can give as good as I can on the show.
And that feeling of standing in the wings, hearing the ovation, seeing the lights go down, seeing the curtain rise. Is there a way that you can describe that feeling after doing it as long as you have? Does that become normal, or is there still that tingle?
Oh, it's just fantastic, to be able to walk out and, to know that people have made the effort to come, because the people, number one, it's not cheap to be there, and they have to get ready, they have to make a journey, maybe stay somewhere if they have a long journey. So it's a huge commitment from them. And I suppose all you hope is that it's going to be everything that they wanted it to be.
And that expectation, how do you keep that in control? That they are expecting you to sound like Daniel O'Donnell, to look like Daniel O'Donnell, to perform like Daniel O'Donnell. There's a great expectation for you to deliver.
Yeah, well, I suppose I just go out and I try to be. I don't try. I just am myself, and that's all I've ever done down through the years. I never. I don't even have a script as such. You say the same things in or around about songs, but the show doesn't. It's not written in stone. There can be different songs tonight to last night, although there's a lot of songs the same because people expect. And I think that's a big thing for singers to realise, that people come because they love to hear what they want to hear. And even if I've sung Stand Beside Me every night for the last 27 years or more than 27 years, they love Stand Beside Me. And I Want to Dance With You was on Top of the Pops in 1992, 16 years ago. They got it on Top of the Pops. They bought the record. So they obviously liked it, and they're only hearing it once, maybe every year. So it's important that they hear it.
And it would be extremely arrogant of you to decide that you're bigger than that record now and you don't need it anymore. They want to hear it, you've got to perform it.
Yeah. Well, I try. I mean, I'm sure every night there's songs that people, say, I wish they'd do this. But I would try to go out and sing as many of the favourites as I could.
All right, we're going to come back with our remaining moments. Lots to get to. What turns you on today, what you enjoy doing, and married life. We must talk about that as well next with our remaining moments with Daniel O'Donnell. We're back with our remaining moments with Daniel O'Donnell here on your favourite local radio station. Married life then. Last time I spoke to you, bachelor boy, as you were well known. Now married, what's changed?
Well, I suppose if there's any change, it's better. My life is just so much more fulfilled, and I was very happy, single, but I probably would have to say that I didn't know how happy I could be married, and there hasn't been a change, that you say, well, you can't do this or you can't do that, or I'd love to go there, but I'm married and I can't. I've never felt that. So anything that I might not do that I used to do, I obviously don't miss it, we just have a great relationship, Magellan and myself, and she's a great asset to my life, for me, and I hope I'm the same. I know I'm the same to her because we get on great.
And help me with this question: who wears the trousers?
Well, now that depends what's going on, but she's fairly adamant in what she likes, but I think we meet very much in the middle, as far as we love houses and we love renovating, and I wish one of us didn't enjoy it, because then we wouldn't be doing it all the time. We've just finished, we sold our house at home and bought a smaller one, and it wasn't completely finished, so we had to finish that, and at the minute that's almost the gardens and the road has been done. Hope it'll be tarred when we get home. And we renovated our house in Tenerife, and that's just been finished. So if you hear that we're doing any more renovation, just shoot us.
And you can't ever use that line, can you? Where do you want to go for dinner tonight? I want to go here. And she says, no, I want to go there. You say, well, I'm Daniel O'Donnell. I've had 500 million records. That won't fly, will it?
No, I don't think so. That would be the very, very wrong approach.
I've got a load of questions from your fans which you've been emailing in. Again, they want to know every little thing about you. So would you indulge us for a few moments?
Sure.
Your favourite food?
My favourite food, I like a bit of Chinese food, not all Chinese food. I like simple food. My favourite thing is mince and potatoes. This was a dish at home that probably was cheap and easy, to finance in the days when things weren't very plentiful. But still, I love it. And I like a steak and chips as well.
What would be on your ideal schedule for a night of TV? What would be the first programme you want to watch?
Well, I love Coronation Street. Always have done. I suppose if I could get the night to start in the middle of the day, I would watch Countdown, and I would watch Deal or No Deal, and I would certainly watch The Weakest Link, and I love the Eggheads.
So you like quizzes?
I love quizzes. I always have loved quizzes. And then it goes on then to Emmerdale, Coronation Street. Magella loves EastEnders, and I enjoy it too. I watch it. And after that, what's left? You know,
you must have been asked to do Celebrity Weakest Link and things like that. Did you ever consider it?
I was never asked. I don't know whether I do it or not. I wouldn't be the brightest spark, in the fire when it comes to answering a lot of general knowledge things. And I think Anne might have a wee fancy for me if she's seen me.
I think she'd think you were delicious.
Yeah, she might do.
To be honest with you,
maybe I'd be all right. She does listen to some of my songs. I've met her, so I might have to sing.
But she'd probably grope you and things, and you don't want that when you're married, especially from Anne Robinson.
Goodness, Anne.
And your favourite place to go on holiday, where would that be?
Well, we love Tenerife, and I know a lot of people say, "Oh, Tenerife, that's grotty," but we have we just love it. I started going there in 1994, and it's been that's where I met Magella, so it's a fantastic place for me. But we love it. We have a nice place there. The weather's gorgeous, and there's. If we want to go out, we love the Irish bars, and we go out and just have a good old night dancing and singing along with whoever's singing, and it's very enjoyable.
And are people generally respectful of you when you're out and about?
Yes. I mean, sometimes you get pictures taken, but you're what odds? I'm usually washed and everything when I go out, so it'll be okay.
And talking of which, I've got to ask you, because I'm a deeply unattractive man, how do you keep this so polished and the face, no wrinkles? I don't see a single wrinkle, and the teeth so nice and all of that.
Do you know what? I've just was on to the dentist there. One of my teeth are falling out down in the bottom. So I don't know, and I have a wee bit of grey coming, so I think it's a disastrous affair. I'll be gummy soon.
So then what do we do? Do we go to having the hair dyed, false teeth, Botox?
No, I won't dye my hair, I don't think. I know I won't. It's just going to get grey, and I don't care what colour it is as long as it's there. Blue, black, brown or silver. I'll have to get some done with the teeth, because if I lost that tooth in the front, I would have a lisp when I sang. So I've already been on to the dentist, and I'll have to go and see. So I may have to get something stuck in there.
Right. And your fans don't care, really. It doesn't really matter what you look like or what you do at this point. You've made it.
I still think you'd want to look as good as you could. I always try to put on kind of decent clothes and look fairly fresh. So I suppose you do. I do have my image and mind a lot of the time, but not to excess.
Congratulations on being you. We could talk for another hour. We're out of time. We've done it. We've played tracks from the album called Country Boy, which is in your stores now. The new DVD's called At Home in Ireland, and Daniel O'Donnell was our special guest. Thank you for talking to me.
Country boy losing his teeth.